So yes, we've been exploring this just sitting practice. We're going to explore it a bit more today. And this approach to just sitting that we've been exploring is a traditional Buddhist approach to it. And in a way, we could talk about the movement in meditation and in our practice generally as one from over-identification with who we are as a particular story, the story we have about ourselves, to becoming more of a witness to ourselves and to our stories and to our experience. So the witness, in this case, is awareness itself. So you can become aware of everything that arises in your experience. And when we're aware of our experience, we're not lost in it. Yeah? Everything that appears in our experience, when we're not lost in the thinking mind, is able to just appear and be there. So this is predominantly, as we've been exploring, the six senses. And in the Heart Sutra, I don't know if you remember the lines from the Heart Sutra. So it goes, the Bodhisattva of compassion, when he meditated deeply, saw the emptiness of all five skandhas and sundered the bonds that caused him suffering. So the five skandhas are a way that the Buddha categorized all of our experience. So you have the skandha of form, which, in our case, we've been exploring through the corporeal body. You have feelings. You have a thing called samnya, which is like perception or categorization sometimes. Tendency of the mind to sort of recognize and split everything up. You have mental constructions, or the mental part of our experience, and you have consciousness even. Although consciousness here means more consciousness in the everyday sense, and it's what you call divided consciousness, vijnana. The V means two, so divided consciousness. And the Buddha said that all of those five things we become aware of, and in the Anattara Lakkhana Sutta, which is one of the first discourses that we know the Buddha to have given, he talks about how in all of those five categories, none of those things can be who we are or what we are. As a Heart Sutra goes on, it talks about eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. So it talks about the five senses and consciousness as well, even consciousness itself. So that's another way that we can talk about splitting up our experience in terms of awareness. Everything that we become aware of comes through one of those six senses. So in the same way, the Buddha was saying that none of those six senses is ourself. He wasn't saying it wasn't not ourself, but I suppose what we're trying to do is shift from an identification with our experience. So it's useful to posit awareness that stands outside of all those things. If you go deep enough into the Buddhist teachings, that then becomes a bit more of a mute point. But at least from the point of view of practicing meditation, So all of the six senses are arising within awareness. And this is what we've been doing with the just sitting practice. We've been looking particularly at the tactile sense through the body and how that appears in direct awareness. And we've been also looking at the mind sense and how that also appears. So we saw with the tactile body, or we were looking to see, I mean, we may or may not have seen, that the body doesn't appear in direct awareness how we think that it is in terms of the mind. So the mental constructs that we've put upon the body seem to be something different from our direct experience of it in meditation. For instance, perhaps we can't exactly find an edge of our awareness when we're sitting in meditation as regards the body, an edge to the body. And maybe the body appears more like a cloud, a cloud of energy, something like that. And we also looked at the thinking minds over the last couple of weeks, having a little bit of a look at that and how do thoughts actually appear. So usually we consider thoughts to be, well, to some extent we consider thoughts to be ourselves, and that we are somehow sort of directing and controlling our thoughts. But in direct awareness, is that actually what happens? Or are thoughts, and by thoughts I mean all sort of mental constructions, that's memories, images, etc., in direct awareness, do they appear like the other senses as something just arising within direct awareness? So it's like awareness, or our witnessing consciousness, our mindfulness, it stands outside of all of these aspects of our experience and sees them. For instance, how do we know that we are thinking? Is the knowledge that we are thinking actually a thought? Well, no, it's not. If it was another thought, we'd be able to see it come up as a thought. I am thinking. But is that the same as the knowing that we are having thought? So awareness knows that we are having thought. Awareness knows that we are having bodily sensation. Awareness knows that we are seeing things, that we are hearing things. Okay, so I hope that's all clear. We won't have a chance to have a Q&A just at the moment, but if anything I've said that sticks with you, or we can talk about it later in our conversation. So today I thought we have been looking at the body sense, and we've been looking at the mind sense, that we could, once we've got into meditation and grounded ourselves in the body and work body awareness, we can have a look at some of the other senses. So mostly when we're sitting to meditate, the things that we're most aware of, well, we're very aware of the mind sense, and hopefully aware of the body sense. Taste and touch usually don't come into it much, because when you're not eating anything or smelling anything, they tend to be fairly dormant as senses, but they may not be. But sight and sound, I mean, sight, obviously we're sitting with our eyes closed, but we do see something even with our eyes closed. But today we'll have a part of the meditation anyway that's going to be done with our eyes open. And we'll do a little bit of questioning, this kind of direct looking at our experience around sight, and also around hearing. Okay. Yeah. As to say, if you want to explore this practice more, a very good place to do it is Vajraloka. I know it's not open, as it were, at the moment, unfortunately, although they are doing online retreats. You can go on a Simply Being retreat, which particularly looks at this practice and in the way that we've been doing it here. In fact, Badger's going to be going on next week, I think. He's been on them before. And I've been on quite a few of them. They are very good retreats. They're led by Tejananda, so those of you at the Rains retreat, you would be leading those. Okay, so we'll do our meditation. So if you set yourselves up for your meditation posture, so to start with, we are going to be taking our attention into the body. Making sure we have established a good posture to support the meditation. Good sense of contact and grounding. The body supported in all the places it needs to be. The legs, the arms and hands, so that no unnecessary weight is pulling any part of the body down, so we don't get any pain. Feeling our contact with the ground through the chair or cushions we're sitting on. And the upper body is erect. So there's a sense of alertness coming from the posture. We're not slumped over or leaning too far back into our chair or whatever. And this erectness of the posture gives us the poise and the aliveness in the body to help us meditate. Of course, often what's going on for the body corresponds with the mind. So if the body is relaxed and alert, the mind can be relaxed and alert. Neck long, chin very slightly tucked in. Helps with the movement of energy up the spine, which is important in meditation. Hooking from the thinking mind, and coming into the direct sensate experience of the body, the tactile body in the head and face, the jaw, the area around the eyes, the lips, and tuning into the direct physical sensations of the body. If we come into direct tactile awareness, attention can't also be with the thinking mind. We can't be wandering off in the thinking mind. If we are aware in the direct sensate body. It's the same thing that we do in the mindfulness of breathing meditation. And often coming into the tactile body can be a sense of relief and release. Because whilst we're in direct sensate awareness, energy is not being used up in the thinking mind. And any unhelpful tendencies of the thinking mind can be put down as we come into the tactile body. So it's done by simply looking for what's there in direct tactile experience. Muscles of the face and jaw, and coming down through the body, becoming aware of the neck and throat, the upper chest, the area around the heart. We might find there the softer edge of our awareness. Awareness is always kindly, so dwelling with our awareness in the area of the heart or the area just behind the heart. And in itself just put us in touch with the metaphor quality of awareness, metaphor quality of our experience. Going down to the area of the diaphragm at the bottom of the rib cage. Looking for the direct sensate experience of the body. What is actually there in sensate awareness? Down to the lower abdomen. So this is the area below the navel. Again, simply looking for the direct sensate experience. So this is not the mind's idea of what that part of the body looks like or what's going on in that part of the body. It's just direct awareness of the sensate, tactile experience. We'll go down a bit further, so we'll go down to what's called the pelvic floor. So this is an area of skin between the sit bones, between the buttocks. If we're sitting, or as we're sitting on whatever surface we're sitting on, you probably feel this area in contact with the chair or cushions. Usually experienced as a kind of flat area. And once we've located it, again, just looking for the direct tactile experience. If we're feeling a little bit drowsy, or anyway, we can do this. Just imagine ourselves breathing up through the pelvic floor, through that flat area right at the bottom, between our legs. Just breathing up from the earth. And the breath can feel like energy coming into the body, stimulating the body, activating the body. You may feel it traveling up the spine to the crown of the head. Or we may not. Just allowing the awareness to spread out and to take in the whole of the tactile body. So attention is not so focused, it's more general. And as we spread out to take in the whole body with our awareness, how do the many sensations appear? Not how do they arise, but what do they appear like? Is the body experienced in this direct way as something very solid? Or as something more spacious? Do we notice distinct edges to our tactile experience? Or does it all appear more amorphous than that as we take in awareness of the whole body? I also notice when thinking wants to place some kind of construction on our experience. Oh, the foot looks like this, or the belly looks like this. Is that just a form of thought, some kind of image in the mind's eye? And is that different from the tactile awareness of the body, directly as it is? And if the body, or however the body appears to us at the moment, does it seem like our experience of the body is taking place in a sense of space or spaciousness? Either like the body is some larger container or within some larger container, or that the whole body itself, as it were, is that container. Not a container with edges to it, or if that is your experience, well, that's your experience, but looking at the nature of that. And does it really seem or not, does it seem that the body has a direct experience of an inside and an outside to it? So we'll allow our attention now to turn towards sound. So probably somewhere in our field of awareness, there's something that we call sound going on. So at this point, the mind can often come in and start interpreting sounds. It's like we're going to try and receive sound just as it is, without the mind's interpretation of it, without the mind labeling sound. And similarly to the way we were looking at the body and whether or not it felt spacious in our direct awareness, and that the sensations of the body were arising within that space. can do the same for sound. So it might seem that some sounds are closer to us. In fact, there might be some sounds seemingly coming from the body itself. Perhaps gurglings in the digestion, or sounds in the inner ear, if you have those kinds of sounds going on. So in our direct awareness with sound, is there any sense of boundary or difference from a sound that seems internal and a sound that seems external? Can we find in direct experience a point where external sound becomes internal? So we might know that this is true on one level of experience, but we're looking now directly meditatively actual in the moment experience of sound. So I think rather than go on to sight, we'll stay with sound in this meditation. Taking in the field of awareness of sound, of hearing, everything that arises in it. Also notice our response to sound. So every sense arising, or nearly all of our sense arisings, a response. So there's a pleasant, painful or neutral response. Some sounds appear pleasant, some unpleasant, and some somewhere in between, in the neutral zone. So noticing our responses also in relation to sound. Not interested in judging our responses, simply noting what is pleasant, what is painful, or what is neutral. Just noticing that can be enough to help us to unhook from any sounds that we're getting an emotional fixation on. And just coming back to the pure experiencing of sound arising in space.